My crew and I estimate it's possible that this message may not reach Earth for years, or maybe not at all. My name is Aimee. I'm 26 years old. The date is February 25th, 2024, and I'm speaking to you from SpaceX rocket BFR 017. There's a hidden message in this tale, and I suggest you subscribe to its wisdom. I suppose I should start at the beginning, back to when I was on Earth. Being chosen for the first crew to Mars was an overwhelming honor, and one that I worked for since I was just a little girl staring at the stars. Every day at school was one step closer to college, which was closer to my double major in applied mathematics and engineering, which was one step closer to being an astronaut. My family couldn't have been more proud, but my boyfriend Benjamin wasn't as happy. He put on a good face and congratulated me, of course, but I knew he was let down. See, Benjamin wanted marriage and a family, but I felt like my career was just starting. Benjamin was a pretty traditional guy in a lot of ways, and I think deep down he wanted something more, well, traditional. One night, I accidentally found an engagement ring. It had fallen out of his pocket. I put it in a safe place and was expecting a proposal any day. Benjamin wanted a family like yesterday, and I could tell he was a little crushed to know that I would be gone for more than 7 months. He didn't say anything directly, but we talked around it. I said that relationships were for support, but Benjamin said the point was to build a home together and a family. But he knew how important spaceflight was to me and that I had been training for over 3 years. So he wished me luck. But I didn't have time for relationship drama because of how rigorous training had become leading up to the launch, which was the most surreal moment of my life. Everything moved like a dream, like it was the one moment you were meant for. All the events in my life had collapsed into one point in time. The shuttle was belching up ungodly sounds and everything began to shudder as we broke out of the atmosphere. I remember it in pieces. First, this feeling like I suddenly weighed twice my size. Then I looked over and saw everyone's faces. Dave, our commander, looked like he was looking like he was in a trance. I remember Carlotta was looking down at her folded hands, and Richie hollering like he was on a roller coaster. Then everything washed with a deafening silence. Only the gentle hum of the cooling system growled at us, but there I was, floating in space, Earth at my back. It's the kind of alive I never experienced before. Living in space is a lot different than people think. We had to work out if we didn't want muscle atrophy, and we lived in a tiny space, so we were always having to clean and keep things neat. The crew was always arguing about who was going to take out the trash, but for the most part, we got along. I got the feeling that Richie and Carlotta got along real well. Over the 9 weeks we were in spaceflight, the crew got to know one another and the troubles we had left behind at home. Like me, the other astronauts had trouble in their relationships. Neither Richie nor Carlotta could find someone with their intensive work schedules, and Dave and his wife argued about him being gone all the time. I thought more about Benjamin and started to appreciate all his sacrifices. The closer we got to the red planet and its orbit, the more nervous and scared I became. Back on Earth, it was nothing but excitement and obsessive training. I didn't have time to be scared, but now that we were entering Mars' atmosphere, my heart was about to leap out of my throat. I closed my eyes and imagined the future. I imagined colonization, the desert red landscape covered with pods, colonies sprouting up everywhere. Before I knew it, we were coursing towards the surface. Then we were jolted with a loud crash, and I thought we were done for. But then, nothing. Our systems were down. A bumpy landing cracked one of our landing legs and punctured our fuel tank and crumpled the satellite. Fuel gauges were dropping like crazy, and panic hit me like a splash of water. Suddenly, fuel was worth about as much as oxygen to us. I was running in the red dirt towards the leaking fuel. I clogged the puncture with a rag, but the fuel we lost was detrimental. The other astronauts joined me, and it wasn't until Dave pointed it out that I realized I was the first person to step on Mars. We were all staring at the fuel, still wet in the Mars dust. The moment where both your dreams and nightmares come true. Yeah, they don't prep you for that moment in school. I may have been the first person to step on Mars, but now we didn't have enough fuel to get home. I guess I wandered off. I was surprised how soft the surface of Mars was, like a dusty cracker. Craters and bone-dry lakes and volcanoes in the distance. I spent all my time on Earth trying to get to another planet, and once I got there, I just wanted to go home. Back on the shuttle, Carlotta was trying to be optimistic, and it pissed me off. She was saying she felt blessed we were alive and pointed out that we had enough food to last us nearly 180 years. I couldn't imagine living on that hydrated slop for the rest of my days. Maybe the others were okay with their lives, but mine had just started. Richie and Carlotta had each other, apparently, but I was all alone. My love was back on Earth, some 50 million miles away. Something inside me told me not to give up, and I became obsessed with the math of it all. I calculated the fuel and the distance. I remembered that Mars opposition occurs when planet Earth passes in between the Sun and Mars and puts the two planets closest together. It happens about every 779.94 Earth days. And if my calculations were correct, we had 4 months until it occurred again. If our timing was accurate, and we coupled that with a landing technique called aerocapture, which, if executed right, would utilize the drag of Earth's upper atmosphere to slow down the shuttle, essentially applying brakes and saving us a boatload of fuel. Dave thought it was bold, but possible. But Carlotta was against it. She said our ship was safe right here, and she wanted to stay safe. She was starting to convince the others with fear, and don't get me wrong, I was terrified. But I didn't want to stay put. I told Carlotta and the others that a ship is safe in the harbor, but that's not what a ship is for. I told them that we were pilots, and it would be a shame to live in a rocket when we should be flying it. Everyone agreed, and we spent the next 4 months repairing the ship and collecting artifacts before we launched back to space and took the deep journey. We kept the throttle low and used minimal fuel. The time moved like molasses, and we relied on each other for encouragement. We had hope, and we had each other. But by the time I could see the pyramids, we were running on fumes. The go for aerocapture was upon us. It was a shared silence. Everybody looked at each other, the kind of moment where words become meaningless. Too shallow, and we'd sail right on past her. But if we drove too deep, we'd burn up. At the crust of the atmosphere, we dipped just enough inside and thundered to what felt like a stop. But really, we were careening at a suborbital speed. And holy cow, what a ride! We splashed down in the ocean and were picked up by an oil tanker. The sailors told us that we were world famous, and everybody worried about what happened after we lost contact. By the time we were on land, it was a media explosion. Reporters were shoving microphones into my face and greeting me with flowers, asking me what it was like to be the first on Mars. The whole world was watching, but I was wondering where Benjamin was. After the circus died down, Richie and Carlotta left together, and even Dave's wife was there to welcome him home. I started to think that Benjamin had moved on and found somebody to settle down with. I felt alone in space, and now that I was home, I felt just as lonely. But then I saw him, flowers in his hand. When we embraced, he said that security wouldn't let him in, and he was sorry he was late. Are you kidding? I told him I'm the one who's late. You know, the more I think about it, the point of a relationship is to grow together, just like the point of a ship is to travel. I decided to ease up on my career and spend more time with Benjamin. Who knows? Maybe we'll even start a family soon. Have you ever lost your way? Tell us about it in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more hidden wisdom stories. Remember, when you share our stories, you're sharing wisdom.